In the quiet rhythm of life, there is a truth often overlooked: what we seek outside is first shaped within. Peace does not arrive from distant lands, and wealth does not descend like sudden rain. They are drawn gently and steadily by the state of our inner world. Consider salt, simple and humble. It dissolves without resistance, yet it transforms everything it touches. In the same way, a calm and clear mind transforms the energy around it. When the heart is restless, even abundance feels empty. But when the heart is still, even little becomes enough, and from that state, more begins to flow. Many people chase wealth as if it is something running away from them. They grasp, they hurry, they compare. Yet this very chasing creates distance. It is like trying to catch a reflection in water. The harder you reach, the more it slips away. True attraction begins when grasping ends. Peace is the first magnet. When your thoughts are not tangled in fear, envy, or anger, your presence becomes light. Others feel it. Opportunities feel it. Life itself responds to it. A peaceful mind makes clear decisions, sees hidden paths, and avoids unnecessary suffering. This is not magic, it is alignment. Wealth then follows peace. Not only material wealth, but the richness of meaningful connections, wise choices, and steady growth. A mind that is not clouded can recognize value where others see nothing. It can act with patience where others act with panic. In this way, wealth is not forced, it is invited. Like salt placed in pure water, your intention must be clean. If your desire for wealth is filled with fear or comparison, it becomes heavy. But if it is guided by purpose, gratitude, and balance, it becomes light and naturally attractive. Do not underestimate small daily acts. A moment of stillness in the morning. A breath taken before reacting. A choice to let go instead of hold on. These are the grains of salt that slowly change the flavor of your life. There is no need to rush. The tree does not force its fruit, it grows roots first. In the same way, build inner calm, clarity, and gratitude. When these roots are strong, the fruits of peace and wealth appear without struggle. So become like salt, quiet, steady, and transformative. Dissolve the noise within you. Let your presence bring balance wherever you go. And without chasing, without force, you will find that peace settles in your heart, and wealth begins to find its way to you. Inner peace comes first. True peace and wealth begin within. A calm and balanced mind is the foundation for everything else. Peace is not something that arrives when life becomes perfect. It is something that is cultivated even when life is imperfect. When the mind learns to remain steady in both gain and loss, in praise and criticism, it becomes clear that the mind is not just a passive observer, but an active participant in the process of learning and growth. It begins to discover a quiet strength that no external condition can disturb. This inner steadiness becomes the foundation upon which all true abundance is built. Without it, even great wealth feels unstable, like a structure built on shifting sand. Many people believe that peace will come after success, after money, or after certain goals are achieved. But in truth, the order is reversed. Success that is built on inner chaos rarely lasts, because the mind that achieved it is still restless. Wealth gained without inner balance often becomes a source of anxiety rather than comfort. The heart continues to search for something more, even when everything seems already obtained. When a person begins to observe their thoughts without being controlled by them, something important changes. There is a space created between reaction and response. In that space, clarity is born. And in clarity, wise action becomes possible. This is where life begins to shift naturally. Decisions are no longer driven by fear or pressure, but by understanding. This simple shift changes the direction of life in ways that appear almost effortless. Inner peace also changes how a person relates to others. Without constant comparison or judgment, relationships become lighter. There is less need to prove, compete, or dominate. Instead, there is understanding and patience. This calm presence naturally draws trust and respect from others, not through effort but through energy. People feel safe around a mind that is not chaotic. Even challenges begin to lose their heavy weight. Problems are still present, but they no longer define the entire experience of life. The mind becomes flexible, able to adapt without breaking. In this flexibility lies real strength. It is not the strength of resistance, but the strength of flow. As this inner stability deepens, life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a process of unfolding. Opportunities that were always present but unnoticed start to appear clearly. The mind, no longer clouded, recognizes what is truly valuable and what is not. In this way, peace quietly becomes the doorway through which all forms of abundance begin to enter. Stop chasing, start attracting. Constantly chasing wealth creates distance, while letting go and staying centered naturally draws opportunities. When the mind is driven by constant desire, it becomes like a river in flood, forceful, noisy, and unable to see its own depth. In such a state, even when opportunities appear, they are often missed or misused because awareness is scattered. True attraction of wealth and stability does not come from intensity of wanting, but from clarity of being. When desire is purified and balanced, it stops becoming a burden and instead becomes a direction. There is a subtle difference between healthy ambition and restless craving. Ambition guided by awareness moves with patience, timing, and understanding. Craving, on the other hand, pushes without awareness and often creates imbalance. This imbalance leads to frustration even when progress is made. A person may accumulate resources yet still feel empty inside because the inner foundation has not been strengthened. When awareness deepens, a person begins to notice how energy flows in life. Certain actions drain the mind while others strengthen it. Certain thoughts create heaviness while others bring lightness. By observing this carefully, one begins to choose differently. This choice is not forced, it becomes natural. Over time, life starts aligning with what supports peace rather than what disturbs it. In this state of inner alignment, wealth is no longer seen only as money. It becomes the ability to live without constant tension, to make decisions without fear, and to move forward without inner conflict. Material abundance may come, but it is no longer the only measure of richness. The quality of experience becomes equally important. As the mind becomes less reactive, it also becomes more receptive. Ideas are understood more clearly, timing is recognized more accurately, and unnecessary struggle begins to fade. It is as if life itself becomes easier to read. This does not mean challenges disappear, but the approach toward them changes. Instead of resisting every difficulty, there is a calm engagement with it. In this calm engagement, solutions often appear naturally. What once felt complicated begins to simplify. Relationships improve, opportunities increase, and decisions become more precise. This is not the result of force, but of alignment. When inner noise reduces, the world is no longer seen through confusion. It is seen as it is. And in that clear seeing, the path towards stability and abundance opens quietly without struggle or force. Peace is the true magnet. A peaceful mind influences decisions, relationships, and life outcomes, attracting positive energy and success. Gratitude is often underestimated, yet it holds a quiet power that reshapes the entire inner world of a person. When the mind constantly focuses on what is missing, it enters a state of lack, even if much is already present. This sense of lack creates restlessness, and restlessness blocks the natural flow of clarity and opportunity. But when attention shifts toward appreciation of what already exists, something subtle begins to change inside. A grateful mind does not deny challenges, but it refuses to be defined by them. It acknowledges difficulty without allowing it to become the center of life. In this way, gratitude does not mean blind positivity, it means balanced awareness. This balance brings emotional stability, and emotional stability becomes the ground where wise actions can grow. When gratitude becomes a habit, perception itself begins to shift. Small things that were once ignored start to feel meaningful. Simple moments carry depth. A quiet morning, a kind word, or a small success is no longer overlooked. This sensitivity to life increases inner richness. And paradoxically, the more a person feels rich inside, the more outer opportunities seem to align. Gratitude also reduces unnecessary comparison. Comparison is one of the biggest sources of mental disturbance. It creates the illusion that life is always happening better for someone else. But a grateful mind is anchored in its own reality. It does not constantly measure itself against others. Instead, it focuses on growth from its own position. This reduces pressure and increases patience, allowing long-term progress to unfold naturally. As this inner state deepens, relationships also begin to improve. A person who is grateful tends to listen more, judge less, and appreciate others more easily. This creates harmony in social connections. People feel valued and respected, which naturally strengthens trust and cooperation. These qualities often open doors that force alone cannot open. Even in moments of difficulty, gratitude acts like an anchor. It prevents the mind from sinking into despair. Instead of collapsing under pressure, the mind remains steady enough to find a way forward. This resilience is not loud or aggressive, it is quiet and stable. Over time, gratitude transforms perception of life itself. What once felt ordinary begins to feel sufficient, and what once felt impossible begins to feel reachable. In this way, gratitude does not just change mood, it changes direction. And in that changed direction, both peace and abundance begin to flow more naturally into life. Pure intentions matter. Desires guided by gratitude, purpose, and clarity attract better results than those driven by fear or comparison. Small daily actions often appear insignificant, yet they are the true builders of inner transformation. Life is rarely changed in one sudden moment. It is shaped gradually through repeated choices that seem minor at the time. A single breath taken with awareness, a moment of patience before reacting, or a decision to let go of unnecessary anger may look simple, but these are the seeds of a completely different life experience. When a person begins to act with awareness in small moments, the mind slowly becomes trained. Instead of reacting automatically, it starts to observe before responding. This observation creates space, and in that space, wisdom begins to arise. Without this space, life becomes a series of reactions, often leading to regret and confusion. But with awareness, even ordinary situations become opportunities for growth. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Many people try to change their lives through strong but short-lived efforts. They push hard for a few days or weeks, then return to old patterns. Real change, however, is not created through bursts of effort, but through steady repetition. A calm mind practiced daily becomes more stable than a mind that occasionally tries to be calm. These small practices also influence emotional energy. When a person repeatedly chooses patience over anger or understanding over judgment, the emotional atmosphere within begins to shift. Over time, negativity loses its strength not because it is forced away, but because it is no longer fed. Positive qualities grow naturally when they are consistently chosen, even in small situations. Such actions also refine perception. A person becomes more aware of their thoughts, habits, and reactions. This awareness helps in identifying what supports inner peace and what disturbs it. As clarity increases, unnecessary complexity in life begins to fade. Decisions become simpler and confusion reduces. Even external life begins to reflect this internal order. Relationships improve because reactions become softer. Work becomes more effective because the mind is less scattered. Opportunities are noticed more easily because attention is sharper. None of this comes from sudden transformation, but from continuous mindful living. Over time, these small actions accumulate like drops filling a vessel. What once felt empty begins to feel full. What once felt unstable begins to feel grounded. In this gradual but powerful process, life quietly shifts toward balance, where both peace and steady abundance begin to grow naturally without force. Small actions create big change. Simple daily habits like mindfulness, patience, and letting go gradually transform life and invite peace and wealth. Become stronger than circumstances. External situations will always change, sometimes favorable and sometimes challenging, but the inner state determines how those situations are experienced. A stable mind does not deny reality, but it refuses to be overwhelmed by it. This stability becomes the final foundation upon which lasting peace and meaningful abundance can exist. When the mind is unstable, even small problems feel heavy. Every situation is seen through the lens of worry, and this creates continuous inner pressure. But when stability grows, the same situations are perceived differently. There is space to think, space to understand, and space to respond wisely. This shift in perception is not about changing the world, but about changing the way the world is experienced. Strength of mind is not built through avoidance of difficulty, but through facing life with awareness. Each challenge becomes a teacher, revealing patterns of reaction, fear, and attachment. When these patterns are seen clearly, they begin to lose their control. The mind becomes less reactive and more reflective. This reflection creates maturity, and maturity brings balance. As this inner strength develops, fear slowly loses its dominance. Fear often arises from uncertainty, from the belief that things are not under control. But with awareness, it becomes clear that not everything needs to be controlled. Some things simply need to be understood and allowed to unfold. This understanding reduces tension and brings a sense of ease even in uncertain times. With reduced fear, decision-making becomes clearer. Actions are no longer driven by panic or pressure, but by clarity and timing. This leads to better outcomes, not because life becomes perfect, but because responses become more aligned with reality. In this alignment, unnecessary struggle begins to disappear. Relationships also benefit from this inner stability. A steady mind does not overreact, does not cling too tightly, and does not push others away in confusion. Instead, it engages with calmness and understanding. This creates healthier connections where communication becomes more honest and less reactive. Over time, this inner transformation changes the entire quality of life. External success may come and go, but inner stability remains constant. And in that constancy, a deeper form of wealth emerges, not just material gain, but a life lived with clarity, balance, and quiet strength that does not depend on changing circumstances.